This is a seed founded by Memes Are Good. This seed gives you tons of frozen tundras going in every single direction, as well as tons of frozen rivers, which, unlike oceans, unfortunately don't have anything interesting inside of... Oh. Your spawn is located right here, right in between several different types of frozen types of things you might expect. We have an ice spikes biome, we have a frozen forest biome, we have an iceberg, and then just off in the distance is a frozen village. And apart from it being generated on a hill, which does give for some interesting generation, there isn't anything too noteworthy about this village. What is noteworthy is the surrounding structures around it being this first igloo right here, which fortunately manages to spawn in normally, unlike other igloos we'll be checking out soon enough, and also is lucky enough to have a basement underneath, as well as this pillager outpost that managed to generate in here too. And unlike the surrounding structures of the pillager outpost that managed to generate in fine, this one kind of generated inside of one of the frozen rivers. What are you thinking, dude? Like, this was a bad idea. And I know I did mention that frozen biomes went off in every single direction. Well, they do, just not as far as some other directions, such as this way over here. And in any other direction you go, you will find pretty much nothing but frozen biomes for a very, very long time. Occasionally, you'll find some slightly warmer biomes, but for the most part, it's just going to be icebergs, frozen tundras, and things like that, which for some people might be good, but for others might not be so good. But if you head out in these corners over here, you'll eventually find yourself this shipwreck right here. But for right now, let's just stay roughly within the vicinity of spawn, just to show you what you can actually expect around here. Well, if you head off in these corners right here, you'll eventually find a ruined portal with, unfortunately, no obsidian in here, but a decent amount of a pearl to start you off with. But just be mindful that when you spawn through here, you'll get a pretty sudden drop on one side. And what's around this ruined portal is, you guessed it, a lot of snow, a lot of snowy forest, as well as a small little igloo right there. As well as this village we can see right here, which honestly could be argued that it is a little bit more interesting than spawn, but still, it is a village with a whole bunch of loot and things like that, as well as a blacksmith right here. And if you're over at this corner of the world, you might notice that this river is really big and really frozen, and yeah, typically rivers aren't normally supposed to have anything in them or on them, but this seed begs to differ, because just over here, we can see an igloo which just barely manages to poke itself out from the river. Fortunately, because it is made out of snow, it is relatively easy to get inside of, but unfortunately, the inside is slightly more flooded than what you would normally expect an igloo to be, which unfortunately doesn't have a basement, but still, to have an igloo spawn in this type of strange commodity is something I don't think I've really properly seen before. Or like, half the igloo is above water and the other half is just below it for some reason. But if you thought that's where the strangeness with igloos ends, then you'd be mistaken, my friend. Because heading past this one mega ruined portal, you might notice that there's this mega river right here, which again doesn't seem too out of the ordinary yet. But that's until we head into Spectator and go beneath the frozen river, because typically you don't see anything too out of the ordinary until we look just right here and see an underwater igloo that just so happens to spawn like right here, right in full force, with pretty much nothing obscuring it. This one, much like the other one, is very flooded on the inside, but what isn't like the other one is the fact that this one actually does have a basement underneath it. But still, I've not seen anything like this since the 1.18 generation was introduced, and yeah, I thought this was just completely long gone, but obviously, as we could see, an underwater igloo is still here and is still possible to happen in the new generation. So I guess if you're looking for a hidden underground bunker that's already pre-generated in, then this seed pretty much has you covered in that case. But if you're still looking for some weird igloo generation, then just head over to these coordinates and just look up. Yeah, there's an igloo that's just hanging off the very edge of this one hill. And I don't think I need to break the carpets or not to see whether or not there's an actual basement underneath. And also, slowly but surely granted, but we're finding villages that's slightly better than the last ones, because this one is on a hill, and this one also happens to have 2 blacksmiths. Bet you've never seen something like that before. And before anyone has time to fact check that, I want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.